Our next question today is from Alessandra.
My name is Alessandra, and I am from Colorado Springs. My boyfriend and I both have quite a bit of stuff. We love things with patterns and nice colors, and in general, we gravitate towards those cottagey vibes a little too much to subscribe to the minimalist look. We want to move in together in a year, and it will be a smaller space. Given that, how should my boyfriend and I pick and choose what comes into our home from each of our individual homes?
So what's fascinating here is you don't have to be a minimalist, Alessandra, to live intentionally. What you're really talking about here is intentionalism. And we're not prescribing living intentionally. We're also not prescribing minimalism. No, you and your boyfriend might not be minimalists, and that's totally okay. But you can simplify your lives in several ways. One way is you talked about moving into a smaller space. I want to be clear, that's not a morally better thing to do, but it might be preferable to you. And so it has a lot to do with your own individual preferences. Now, having too many preferences, having really rigid preferences is a type of prison. I know from my own experience and my own preferences, I can have a really well-decorated prison cell. And so holding those preferences loosely, but here's a really beautiful bonus between you and your boyfriend. You both have similar tastes, it sounds like. I know my wife and I are in a similar boat here, where we'll often defer to the other person because we trust their preferences, especially if something's more important to Bex. I'll give you one example. We were just, we have a home office and we're talking, I don't like rugs. I don't want rugs, but she would really like to have a rug in the office. And so I say yes to that. Why? Because I know she's not going to pick out some hideous, now I say hideous not as a judgmental thing, but hideous as this offends my preferences, right? And it would be a problem if Alessandra and I were dating, or her boyfriend and I were dating, because I don't really dig the cottagey vibes, right? And it doesn't mean I think they're wrong for having those preferences, but if Bex turned our office into a cottage, I would not enjoy spending time in there. But because you have similar preferences, I would say defer to the other person. At the same time, though, what's always been important to me is to include the other person in all of those decisions. Here's one rule that we have in our home that has prevented myriad fights, disagreements, arguments in our house. And it's, we don't bring anything into our house unless both of us agree that we want it in our house. And that means it's a conversation before anything gets purchased and brought home. Now, that at first causes a little bit more work for us, and sometimes even a little bit more friction up front, right? But that friction gives us the traction we need to make sure that our relationship does not completely go off the rails. One last rule that I have for you that I use in my own life is never cling. Hold on loosely and let go enthusiastically. If you're moving into a new space, Bex and I bought a new house earlier this year. We moved into a new space, and it was never clinging to anything that we brought in. So it's like, I have to have this. If I have to have this ever comes up, that is a sign for me that, I'm clinging to this. Now, what is the next ingredient there? Hold on loosely. I'd like to have this. I want this in my life. Okay. But I know I can walk away from it. I know I can live without it. I know that I'm willing to let go. And if I'm willing to let go, then I can hold it loosely as long as it adds value to my life. As long as I feel like it's doing something for us and it's not getting in the way. Because if it gets in the way, then it's clutter. And if it's clutter and I'm still holding on to it, that's when I know I'm clinging. And finally, let go enthusiastically. It's not, I guess I have to let go of this, but I get to let go of this. I get to make room. I get to experience the benefits of living intentionally. Why? Because I'm letting go. I'm letting go. I'm letting go every day, not just of the things, but of the expectations, of the clinging. I'm letting go of the desire for the things to complete me. I'm letting go of anything that is excess. That way I'm not accumulating clutter.
TK, we should do a parody song. Hold on, loosely hold on. Yeah. Hey. You could sing it. I'll write it.
We'll have Bama sing it.
Yeah.
I'll do harmony.
It'll be like a little duet.
Well, I plan on quoting Frank Sinatra, so you want to go first?
Hey, at least he's warning you.
Oh, man. No, you go for it, man. You go for it.
I'm not quoting Frank, although he is the man.
Yeah.
I would say that minimalism is a philosophy of abundance. And excess is the enemy of that. Minimalism is about squeezing as much as possible the stuff that matters to you into one life. The problem with that is by the time we form any coherent concept of the stuff that matters to us, we've been so culturally conditioned to a philosophy of excess that our lives are crowded out with all of these things that we thought would make us happy, but don't make us happy, or all of these things that keep us busy and keep us distracted. And so there's no room for the stuff that really matters, because the stuff that really matters is about our experiences, our relationships, our thoughts towards ourselves and towards others, our habits, our rituals, and all those sorts of things. And it can become very difficult to be clear with yourself about that stuff when your life is filled with clutter. But clutter isn't defined by the number of things that you have. Clutter is defined by that which gets in the way of the life that you truly want. So as Josh said, don't worry too much about being minimalist, looking minimalist, sounding minimalist. Focus more on making sure that you are living a life that reflects what you truly want. Now, when it comes to moving into a new place, my wife and I just recently completed a move, and one of the things that was helpful for us when it came to moving old stuff into our new place was to not let the energy of the old stuff determine the energy of the new place. Instead, do it the other way around. Walk around that new place and say, what do I want to do in this room? How do I want to use this space? What do I imagine life to be like here? How do I want to be present in this environment? And what are the things I already have that seem to support the energy of that? I would call everything into question. It's sort of like taking over a company. You don't just keep the same team without question. You say, well, here's my vision for the company. And I'm sure there are going to be some people here that are in line with that vision, but there may be some people that hate that vision. So let me be willing to let go of anything that's not consistent with the new vision that I have for this new place.
Did you enjoy this standalone Patreon highlight? If so, you can listen to full episodes of the Minimalists private podcast available exclusively on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/theminimalists or click the link in the description. Your support keeps our podcast and YouTube channel 100% advertisement free.